How do you overcome an anxious attachment style? Is it even possible to change your attachment style? Well, hey everyone, Mireille Nicole here, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 steps to overcoming that anxiety that you may feel in your relationship. And you know what? It wasn't that long ago that I myself was showing up in my own relationship with an anxious attachment style. And I can tell you firsthand that it is possible for you to overcome an anxious attachment style. Let's first start off by talking about what is an attachment style. What are the characteristics or traits that you tend to see in someone who is anxious in a relationship? And the big one, the first one, would be craving intimacy and closeness. Someone who is anxious, and maybe you relate to this, is really going to crave a strong intimacy with their partner. Also, if you're anxious, you're probably very, very preoccupied with the relationship. And that was me, right? It's probably always on your mind, and you tend to worry about what your partner is thinking of you. Do they love you as much as you love them? Are they going to leave you? Is it the end of your relationship? Does every argument feel like this could be the last time that you guys are together? As someone who's anxious, you're going to be very sensitive to your partner's moods. Every little thing is going to set you off. You're probably going to misinterpret things or just jump to conclusions a little bit too quickly. And at that point, you're going to start using what's called protest behavior. So you're going to do whatever action you can take or think of to try to get your partner's attention, to try to get that intimacy that you're craving, but that you might not be getting. So for example, maybe your partner is not responding to you. They are not texting you back. So you start texting them back. You start chasing them in some way to try to get that closeness and that intimacy with them. And another trait is that you feel incomplete on your own. The big focus, or one of the big focuses of your life, is really on your relationship. And without that, whenever that feels threatened, you start to worry about yourself and your own comfort level with who you are. You make it mean something about you, and you really rely on that relationship and that bond to give you a sense of meaning. If this is sounding a little bit like you, don't worry. About 20% of people have an anxious attachment style, so you're not alone. And how does this anxious attachment style come about? Well, a lot of times it starts in childhood, and it also develops as part of your life experience or maybe your relationship experiences. I know for myself growing up, I would think that I would have been maybe a bit more avoidant. I was very independent as a child. I was an only child. And I would say even in my earlier relationships, I probably would have tended to be a bit more avoidant. But funny enough, through my different relationship experiences, through my love life growing up, I eventually became more anxious. And it actually showed itself the most in the relationship I'm in now, in the early days with my husband, then boyfriend. The good news is that I am no longer like that. I believe that I have transitioned from anxious attached to secure in my relationship. Obviously, there are moments where I kind of defer back or step back into old habits from my anxious attachment days, but know that your attachment style is malleable. It can change, and it's been said that 1 in 4 people do so over 4 years. Now, for me, I would say when I started really doing the work on my relationship, it took about a year for me to really get out of that anxious attachment style tendency I had. So I really buckled down and really got rid of my ego, every preconceived idea I had in the past, and really worked towards becoming that secure partner I wanted to become, not only for my partner, but for myself. So let's get into the 3 ways that you can start overcoming your anxious attachment style. And the first one is going to be through effective communication. So if you're anxious, you're likely making a lot of assumptions in your relationships. Maybe you're jumping to conclusions a little bit too quickly, and that is a classic anxious attachment style trait. So don't you worry, that is totally normal. Like I said a little bit earlier, you tend to be very sensitive to your partner's emotional states, his reactions, his actions, what he does, what he says. So this is going to be very important for you to start expressing yourself in the most effective and loving way so that you can start feeling more secure in your relationship and model that for your partner. Right now, what's likely happening is that you get flooded with emotions, but you lack those skills to communicate this distress effectively, and it just creates a vicious cycle with your partner. And the irony is that often you're too anxious to ask or to bring something up, but at the same time, by not addressing the situation, you're just creating further anxiety, and it's just a lose-lose situation for you. The beautiful thing about effective communication is that it'll either protect protect you or save you from a doomed relationship, or it's going to help you grow closer and stronger as a couple with your partner, which is ultimately what you desire. The second way you can overcome your anxious attachment style is simply to find yourself a secure partner. Now, I realize that for some of you who are already in a relationship, maybe this isn't the best approach to take, but for those of you who are still looking or are in the early stages of dating, this is a good opportunity for you to determine, are you in the right relationship right now? It's been said that people are only as needy as their unmet needs. So by finding a partner that is nurturing and sensitive to your own needs, that will help you show up as the loving, dedicated partner that you truly are, and you'll find yourself being a lot less needy. A secure partner will be comfortable with your closeness and won't try to push you away. They're consistent, they're reliable, and they'll reassure you. Sometimes though, if you're anxious, you'll automatically interpret that calmness, that stability as a lack of physical attraction or even emotional attraction. So be very careful about that. If this is someone you truly see as your lifelong partner, don't make the mistake of just automatically assuming that this consistent, stable, reliable assurance is a lack of attraction, when in fact, it could just be a result of your attachment style. Just a side note, being with a secure partner is great not only for our emotional well-being, but also for our physical well-being. We get so attuned to our partners. It's been shown that our heart rate starts matching itself, our blood pressure, our breathing, even the hormones that are released in our body. So actually on my channel, you'll find a lot of health videos because that is such a huge value to me. In addition to the relationship part, so is the health part. And I think it's totally interrelated. So the last step to overcoming your anxious attachment style is to develop your confidence. Instead of asking yourself questions like, does he like me? Does he really, really like me? Start asking questions like, do I like this partner? Is this someone I want to be with? Can this partner meet my needs? Another way to develop your confidence in this context is to just wait a little bit longer before reacting. When we jump to conclusions or we get really emotionally reactive to what our partner is doing, it's hard for us to really understand the situation and to see clearly what's going on. The more we can just take a deep breath, give it a few minutes, give it a few hours if we need to, before we say anything or we take any type of reactive action, the best thing you can do is just to wait a little bit. By waiting, you just might find out that things work out. What you need, you actually end up receiving. All those worries that you have about your partner, he has the opportunity to turn those around. It also makes your partner feel more secure with you, so they are more likely to come back towards you. This is going to give you confidence because you are going to learn to trust that things are going to work out, that you are going to have the answer, that you are going to get what you need, that you have the strength and the power to turn things around and make powerful decisions in your relationship. The other part of the piece on confidence relates to the first step I shared with you, and that's the effective communication. So the better communicator you become, the more confident you are going to become also. And it also works the other way around. So the more confident you can become, the more you'll be able to communicate effectively. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg. I'm not sure which one comes first, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Working on both of those will create a synergy together, and they will make both easier for you to develop those communication skills and also that confidence. The more you know what to say, how to respond in a situation, the more confident you can be going into it. And obviously, really focus on your self-love and your self-worth and your self-care to develop this confidence of yours. A lot of times what happens is when we have an anxious attachment style, we really put up a lot of focus on the relationship. We're really, really laser focused on our partner, what he does, what he doesn't do, where our relationship is going. But the more we can shift that focus towards our own self-care and the things that we enjoy to do and who we really are and what makes us happy, that again is going to reduce the anxiety. You're not going to be so focused on what's happening with the two of you as a couple, and that may seem counterintuitive. You may feel like, okay, well, if I detach from that, if I start focusing on my self-love, my self-care, maybe the relationship will fall apart. Maybe my partner will just disappear or run off with someone else. But it's usually the opposite that happens. The more you can really take care of yourself, you build that confidence of yours, the more you create even more magnetism and a stronger attraction in your relationship. Okay, just a quick recap. The 3 steps to overcoming your anxious attachment style is number 1, to really practice, learn, develop effective communication. Number 2, hey, if you have to, make sure to find a secure partner. I'm saying that, but at the same time, know that it is kind of harder to find a secure partner because usually they're taken. So if you're with someone, I'm not saying just dump them and go find someone secure, but if you're out there in the dating pool, this is your opportunity to find someone who is secure. And if you're in a relationship, using effective communication and the step number 3, which is building your confidence, will help you in that area to reduce that anxious attachment style and to be more secure in your relationship. Hey, if you're watching this, I'm guessing maybe you suspect you have an anxious attachment style. Let me know what you think. What have you learned from this video? Where do you feel you need to focus on next to really help with your anxiety? If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And if you'd like any personal support, make sure to reach out to me. There's a link in the description and we can have a chat to see what's going on in your personal situation. All right, thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you in the next one.